Hello, my name's Kylie. I'm going to be talking to you guys about cognitive strategies that I use in my classroom and that I've used this past week particularly. So, first of all, there are 9 subcategories of cognitive strategies, so lots to choose from. I did have them listed all right here. These are just taken straight from our textbook. But today I'm going to be focusing on the following note taking, imagery, and elaboration. So first of all, I always start every lesson with note-taking strategy. This is when my students are actively writing, or in my case, they're actually typing their notes for the most part. Sometimes I do have them write it down in their note or in their journals, but for the most part, we use Teams and they are able to do everything online. And I do find that very helpful and they really enjoy it as well. But they're writing or typing as we are reading, usually from our textbook. Our notes actually are a graphic organizer type of note that go directly with every lesson in our textbook for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And in my case, it is science. So that's what I will be talking about today. I start every new lesson this way. So my kids are actually doing this note taking strategy about 2 times a week, if not 3. Depending on how long the lesson is and how long it takes us to get through each one. I use, like I said, graphic organizer outline notes. And we use our textbook to get all our information to fill those in. So this is an example of my 7th grade graphic organizer notes that I use. I put this sheet directly into their class notebook in their Teams, and they can type directly into each of these little boxes. And then they do always put the page they found it on. So if they ever need to go back and relook at it or look it back up or read it again, they know the page that they got it from. My second one would be imagery. This means to use a visual image, whether that's mental imagery, so you're just picturing something in your head, or a real image like that you drew or that I put on the board maybe, for them to understand and remember information that we're learning. So 7th grade this week actually drew giant posters of plant animal cells in order to visualize what that actually looks like and to see each organelle blown up and giant so that they can actually picture what each one looks like. Some groups drew some groups drew the actual cells and the organelles within them. Some groups worked on writing out each name of the organelle with its specific function, and some groups actually were creating a chart to show the difference between a prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell so that we can hang these up throughout my classroom and reference them at any point. So here's some examples of what they did this week. So they did an animal cell. So here's the picture that one group drew. The other group worked with them to write down each of the organelles with their actual specific function. Same for plant cells. So again, picture of the plant cell with the organelles and their functions. And again, these are hanging up actually on my windows, which is why they're kind of backlit. And then these are on my very back wall. So again, they can read these from their seats. They can look over at them anytime. So they're really kind of used as an anchor chart, but they got to create them in class, which I think is so helpful to them. But again, they even drew little pictures to go for each one and then wrote what each one has that the other maybe does not. And my last one here is elaboration, which I use often, meaning that students can relate new information to something they already knew or know. So 6th grade this week used their prior knowledge of the continents to figure out names of many tectonic plates. Now, that doesn't mean they figured out them all or knew them all by heart already, but they did make some really awesome observations. So this is their worksheet that I gave them, and we wrote in each of the plate names, as you can see. Now, a lot of them were like, hey, Africa's plate looks almost exactly like Africa. It's really very similar shape, which I thought was really observant of them. Another one that they knew was the Pacific plate because they knew that this is the Pacific Ocean and as well as over here. Obviously, Australia, again, they know that continent, so they were able to actually name that plate. Final product, they just had to color it in so it looks similar to this one. I think associating certain ones with certain colors really helps them to remember it as well. So it's kind of a visualization thing, imagery one again. But thank you for watching. Have a great afternoon.